Hello everybody, welcome on in. This is the Completed Cosmos. I am going to be starting up a stream that's new today. And I apologize, because you're actually going to be seeing my camera, it's quite bad. Today I'm going to be cracking Wilds of Elderaine with you all. I have a box. I'm going to be fairly quiet for it too. So I hope you don't mind. I have moved my mic as close as I can. I'm currently messing with it, fiddling it, trying to find the right spot. I think I'm going to have it right here because you guys can't see the cord, and, well, I can talk into the mic and you guys can hear me. So, we're going to start this off. Now, what is going to happen, I'm going to put the pack down so you can see the card. As you guys can see, my camera quality is very low, so it will be here for you to see. I'll pull it, read it, mana cost creature, type, the way down. You know how it goes. Once we see seconds, I won't read them again, but I will continue showing every card I will end reading through them. I'm also going to give my thoughts, as this is honestly the first I'm going to see the majority of this set, so I'm looking forward to it. I hope you all enjoy as much as I do. And this first one is already cracked. I wanted to make sure my camera quality was going to be something. It really wasn't anything. The art card that I pulled for this was a Primal Vigor. I gotta say, I do like that art. I did pull some packs of these earlier, and I pulled 3 of these today. They are truly beautiful. And then I got a rat token. So, going on, we got a Collector of Tales. Collector of Tales is an uncommon creature that drops for 3 colorless and 1 blue. It is a fairy advisor. It has flying, and whenever you cast an adventure spell, you may copy it. You may choose new targets for the copy. It's a 2/3. I gotta say, that does look very nice for the adventure deck, or the adventure commander that they have. The Temur one. If I draw one out of here, I would definitely build a commander around it. I'm very much a commander player. Next up, we have an Oversold Cemetery. I must say, I love the art here. Can I? There we go. It doesn't come across the best, but those, I think that's a bunch of skeletons coming after somebody and going to, like, fucking tear them apart. I love it. Love it. That I'm going to be keeping for personal play. Next up, we have a Grasp of Fate. I do have to say, I love that art. The brambles wrapping into the heart there are exquisite. Alright. Oh, I didn't even do my job and read Oversold Cemeteries. Oversold Cemetery. 1 colorless, 1 black. At the beginning of your upkeep, if you have 4 or more creature cards in your graveyard, you may return target creature from your graveyard to your hand. Alright, and then the Grasp of Fate. 2 white and a generic. Alright, it's an enchantment. Uncommon. Whenever Grasp of Fate enters the battlefield, for each opponent, exile up to 1 target non-land permanent that player controls until Grasp of Fate leaves the battlefield. Truly a bind on people. Love it. Next up here, I believe this is Rankle's Prank here. I wish I could show you the art. Choose 1 or more. This is our rare. 2 black and 2 colorless. Rankle's Prank. Sorcery. Choose 1 or more. Each player discards 2 cards. Each player loses 4 life, and each player sacrifices 2 creatures. I like that. Reminds me much of Rankle himself. Alright. Next up, we have Sir Armont, the Redeemer. Alright. He's going to be a white, a green, and 3 generic. She. And whenever she enters the battlefield, you create a monster roll token attached to another target creature you control. The enchanted creature gets +1/+1 and trample, and then she states that enchanted creatures you control get +1/+1. Alright. Next up, we have the Red Tooth Vanguard. Alright, here's a close up on the art. So, for a green and generic, uncommon, trample, and whenever an enchantment enters the battlefield under your control, you may pay 2. If you do, return Red Tooth Vanguard from your graveyard to your hand. It's a 3/1. So, I'm going to say that's a decent early game drop. If you're running a fair amount of enchantments, or like this set looks like it's to be, you will have enchantments entering the battlefield fairly often. So this being a reoccurable creature, I like that. And it's a low cost, so easy payoff. I like it. Next up, Succumb to the Cold. Alright, 2 colorless and a blue. It is an instant at uncommon. Tap 1 or 2 target creatures an opponent controls, put a stun counter on each of them. I like that. Nice and simple, slows your enemies down, gives you time. Archon's Glory. 1 white, instant, for a common. Bargain. You may sacrifice an artifact, enchantment, or token as you cast this spell. Target creature gets +2/+2 until end of turn. If the spell is bargained, that creature also gets lifelink and flying. Alright, not bad, not bad. Next up, 1 white, break the spell. Destroy target enchantment. If a permanent you controlled or a token was destroyed this way, draw a card. Alright, not bad. Not great, but not bad. Alright. Joanne's Stopgap. 3 colorless and a blue. Sorcery, common. Bargain. This spell costs 2 less if it's bargained. Return target non-land permanent to its owner's hand. Draw a card. Alright. Fair enough. Next up, Fell Horseman. 3 into black. Creature, Zombie Knight. It's a common. Oh, this one has a adventure. Deathly Ride. Return target creature from your graveyard to your hand, and then when it dies, you put it onto the bottom of its owner's library. 3/3. Doesn't pass the test for mana, but I do like the Deathly Ride sorcery, but I like anything that can put stuff from your graveyard to your hand. And we have a Plains, as you can see here. So, overall, I'd say it's a decent first pack. Not absolutely astounding, but I do love the Oversold Cemetery. And, you know, maybe Sir Armont could be fairly useful in human stack, perchance. But I don't enchant my creatures enough to do that in my human stack. So, we'll see what comes from this box. The next pack. Yes, watch me struggle. Alright. And we start this one off with a card from the list. Demonic Bargain. Exile the top 13 cards of your library, and then search your land for a card. Put that card in your hand and shuffle. Well, if you want to risk it all for the biscuit, that's a card to do it with. Next up we have Cut In. Cut In deals 4 damage to target creature, and you create a Young Hero rule attached up to 1 target creature. The Young Hero rule states that whenever this creature attacks, if its toughness is 3 or less, put a +1/+1 counter on it. I like that. Entertaining. Next up, we have the Leyline of Sanctity. 2 colorless, 2 white, enchantment. If it's in your opening hand, you may begin with it on the battlefield. You have hexproof. Nice and simple. Next up, we have Hatching Plans. 1 colorless, 1 blue. When it's put into the graveyard from the battlefield, draw 3 cards. Again, nice and simple. Next up, we have the Goose Mother. X, green and a blue. Legendary creature that is a bird hydra. This one is rare. Flying. The Goose Mother enters the battlefield with X11 counters on it. When the Goose Mother enters the battlefield, create half X food tokens rounded up. Whenever the Goose Mother attacks, you may sacrifice a food. If you do, draw a card. Enters as a 2/2 plus X. Lovely creature, lovely creature. I do have to say I love Hydras. Next up, we have the Ice Rot Sentry here. Let me fix this. Ice Rot Sentry. Vigilance, whenever Ice Rot Sentry... sorry. 2 colorless and a blue. Elemental creature, uncommon. Vigilance. Whenever Ice Rot Sentry attacks, you may pay 1 colorless and 1 blue. When you do, tap target creature an opponent controls. Whenever you tap an untapped creature your opponents control, Ice Rot Sentry gets +2/+1 until end of turn, making it a 4/4. Cruelty. I love it. Alright, next up, we have Charade of Numbing Depths. When it would enter the battlefield, tap target creature and opponent controls. Put a stun counter on it. Whenever you tap one or more untapped creatures your opponents control, draw a card. This ability triggers only once each turn. It's a 2/3. Doesn't pass the mana test, but that is kind of entertaining as an ability. It's whenever you tap the draw card. Sadly, it only happens once a turn, so if you could pop it multiple times, or if you could pop it on everybody's turns, yeah, that's pretty good. But I can see that being more mid than good in most cases, to be entirely honest. Next up, we have Solitary Sanctuary. Solitary Sanctuary, 2 colorless and a white. An enchantment, uncommon. When it enters the battlefield, tap target creature and opponent controls. Put a stun counter on it. Whenever you tap an untapped creature and opponent controls, put a +1/+1 on target creature you control. Huh. That goes quite well with the creature we just looked at now, doesn't it? Next up, Sugar Rush. 1 and a black. Instant, common. Target creature gets +3/+0 until end of turn. Draw a card. I smell frosting. Ready your weapons. Greta, Scourge of Sweet Tooth. Oh yes. Greta, the Scourge of Sweet Tooth. I do plan on building a deck around her. She looks very fun. I'm gonna have as many of the horrors, the Sweet Tooth horrors, and as I can. Moment of Valor. 1 white, 2 colorless. Choose instant and common. Choose 1. Untap target creature. It gets +1/+0 and gains indestructible until end of turn. Destroy target creature with power 4 or greater. Hardened by the Phyrexian invasion, Will's knights starved the nightmares of the thing they craved most. Fear. Alright. Next up, Savior of the Sleeping. 2 colorless and a white. Creature, Human Knight. Vigilance. Whenever an enchantment you control is put into the graveyard from the battlefield, put a +1/+1 counter on Savior of the Sleeping. Even lost in slumber, the citizens of Ardenvale dream of a times. 'Tis a 2/3. Next up, Slumbering Keep Guard. 1 white. Creature, Human Knight. Whenever an enchantment enters the battlefield under your control, scry 1. 2 and a white. Slumbering Keep Guard gets +1/+1 until end of turn for each enchantment you control. Dreams of a realm united gave him strength, even in sleep. Ooh, that nice foil basic forest. And our full art is Elderaine the Pyro Hammer. Alright. Number 3. Our art card. Which is Defense of the Heart. Our token is On an Adventure. No. Whoop. I'm not doing this wrong. Twisted Fealty. 2 generic and a red. Sorcery. Gain control of target creature until end of turn. Untap that creature. It gains haste until end of turn. Create a wicked roll. Will attach to up to 1 target creature. If you control. Enchanted creature gets +1/+1. If those aura is put into the graveyard, each opponent loses 1 life. Alright. Not my favorite sorcery. Good to grab something and beat somebody with someone else. Nice on the cost. But Wicked Roll is just not exactly my favorite, but I'll take it. Alright, next up. Griffin Airy. Enchantment. 1 and a white. Enchantment. At the beginning of your end step, if you gained 3 or more life this turn, create a 2/2 white Griffin creature token with flying. Not bad. Great for a life gain deck. I have an enchantments deck that can use that decently well, though I don't think it has the room for it. Next up. Virtue of Persistence. 5 colorless, 2 black. Enchantment. Lochthwain Scorn. 1 colorless, 1 black. Sorcery Adventure. Target creature gets -3/-3 until end of turn, and you gain 2 life. Regular enchantment. At the beginning of your upkeep, put target creature from a graveyard onto the battlefield under your control. That is gold. I love that. I don't mind the cost. The Questing Druid. A green and a colorless. Human Druid. Seek the Beast. 1 and a red. Instant adventure. Exile the top 2 cards of your library until the next end step. You may play those cards. Regular. Whenever you cast a spell that's white, blue, black, or red, put a +1/+1 on the Questing Druid. It's a 1/1. Rare. Next up, Bitter Chill. When Bitter Chill enters the battlefield, tap Enchanted Creature. Enchanted Creature doesn't untap during its controller's untap step. When Bitter Chill is put into a graveyard from the battlefield, you may pay 1. If you do, scry 1, then draw a card. Hey. It's an aura. It taps something. Not bad. And what's in the graveyard? Oh, as it's put in, you get to scry. Okay, yeah, no, I like that. Tenacious Tome Seeker. 2 colorless and a blue. Creature, human knight. Uncommon. Bargain. When Tenacious Tome Seeker enters the battlefield, if it was bargained, return target instant or sorcery from your graveyard to your hand. I like that, actually. I like the art there, too. He's holding the book and walking through the woods. Alright, next up. High Fae Negotiator. I will get a better camera here soon, boys. Alright. 2 black, 3 colorless. Creature, Fairy, Warlock. Uncommon, Bargain. Flying, when High Fae Negotiator enters the battlefield, if it was bargained, each opponent loses 3 life and you gain 3 life. A little high cost, I think. It's a 3/5. I think that's a little high cost for what it does. Quick Study. 2 colorless and a blue. Draw 2 cards. Instant speed. Alright, not bad, actually. I do like card draw. Alright. Water Wings. 1 colorless, 1 blue. Instant. Until the end of turn, target creature you control has base power and toughness 4/4, gains flying and hexproof. That's a lot for 2. I like that. For 2 mana, that does a lot. That hexproof and flying is really cool too. Fanatic Firebolt. Fanatic Firebolt deals X damage to target creature, where X is 2 plus the number of cards in your graveyard and that are instant cards, sorcery cards, and/or an adventure. Okay, I like that. That can be a very painful firebolt. Okay, Toadstool Admirer. 1 green, Ward 2. A green and 3 colorless. Put a +1/+1 on Toadstool Admirer. Where an Ophi makes its home, the land blooms with color and joy. And a blue basic mana. Alright. Next pack. Now, if anybody is here and would like to chat, I am sitting here where I can see chat, and I'm more than happy to talk with anybody who would like to join. Our art card is the Goose Mother. Our token, oh, I like that. It's food, but it's like an evil Jello. Alright. We got a foiled Tempest Heart. Alright. It's an uncommon, 3 colorless and a green. And it's an elemental elk. For 1 and a blue, you can scan the clouds. It's an adventure instant. Draw 2 cards and then discard 2 cards. It has trample, and whenever you cast a spell with mana value 5 or greater, put a +1/+1 on Tempest Heart. I kinda like that. That's not bad. That's actually fairly decent. Oh. Next up, we got Intangible Virtue. Creature tokens you control get +1/+1. And have Vigilance. Oh. Okay. Kinda like that. And then I'm also gonna read you out the flavor text for this one. Find glory not in blood, nor dragons felled, but in kindness given, oaths upheld, the scholar and the knight. That is a good one. Alright. Next up. Pollen Shield Hair. 1 colorless, 1 white. It's a creature, a rabbit. A green, and you get Hair Raising. Sorcery Adventure. Target creature you control gains vigilance. It gets +X/+X, where until end of turn, where X is the number of creatures you control. Oh, that can be a little painful. Hair Raising. I see. And creature tokens you control get +1/+1. Interesting. Alright. Eerie Interference. Prevent all damage that would be dealt to you and creatures you control this turn by creatures. Ranks of sleeping Ardenvale knights filled Eretti's throne room, ready to defend their witch queen with unthinking devotion. I like that one too. It's an instant. Alright, next up we have the Glass Casket. For 1 white and 1 colorless, when the Glass Casket enters the battlefield, exile target creature an opponent controls with mana value 3 or less until Glass Casket leaves the battlefield. That's a very enchantment effect, but I like that it was given to an artifact finally. Alright, next up we have the Princess Takes Flight. You exile up to 1 target creature. Target creature you control gets +2/+2 and gains flying until end of turn, and then you return the exiled card to the battlefield under its owner's control. Enchantment Saga, of course, uncommon. I do like the art that it has, but I'm not the biggest fan of that effect. Next up, Imodane's Recruiter. 2 into red, and when Imodane's Recruiter enters the battlefield, creatures you control get +1/+0 and gain haste until end of turn. It is a 2/2. And then it has, for 4 colorless and a white, you train troops. It's a sorcery. You create 2/2/2 white creature tokens, white knight creature tokens with vigilance. Decent for a knight's deck, I will say, actually. It seems like it could be fun. Next up, we have the Gallant Pie Wielder. Gallant Pie Wielder, I love that. It is a dwarf that throws pies. You cannot get better than this. First strike, Celebration. Gallant Pie Wielder has double strike as long as 2 or more non-land permanents entered the battlefield under your control this turn. Time for your just desserts, Redcap scum, he yells as he throws his pies. I love it. Alright. Next up we have Baronati, a black and a colorless for a fairy. It has flying, and when the Baronati it has lifelink as long as you control another fairy. The Baronati gets +1/+0 until end of turn when you pay 2 mana and a black. It is a 1/3 at its basic cost. I don't like Baronati's pay ability. It's not a good enough pump. Next up, we have Cooped Up. A white, a colorless, enchantment aura. And the enchanted creature can't attack or block. And for 3 mana, you can exile that creature too. Which will send this to the graveyard, actually. Interesting. Many things can trigger off that. Next up, we have Sleight of Hand. For a blue mana, you look at the top 2 cards of your library, put one of them in your hand, and the other on the bottom of your library. I like that. That's pretty decent, actually. It's a quick, nice decision. Get it out of my way, and that one goes to my hand. And oh, that is a beautiful, beautiful blue mana. Alright, our full art card is going to be Agatha's Cauldron here. And we're going to get a much nicer looking food token. This food doesn't look like it's going to eat us back. Alright, we got an Aquatic Alchemist as the first card of this one. Alright, 1 colorless, 1 blue. It's an elemental. Whenever you cast your first instant or sorcery spell, each turn Aquatic Alchemist gets +2/+0 until end of turn. It is a 1/3. For 2 in blue, you can Bubble Up. It's a sorcery adventure. Put target instant or sorcery card from your graveyard on top of your library. That is quite useful. Next up. That is a nice looking Vampiric Rites. I wish you could see it in its full glory. Please look it up when you can. For 1 and a black, you sacrifice a creature, gain 1 life, and draw a card. Drops for a single black mana. What a lovely piece of work. Next up, we have Talion's Messenger. It's a creature, very noble. Alright, it's a rare. It has flying, and whenever you attack with one or more fairies, draw a card, then discard a card. When you discard a card this way, put a +1/+1 on target fairy you control. The kindly lord does not issue invitations to their court lightly. I suggest you accept. I like it. Next up, we have Heretti of the Charmed Apple. Okay, I kind of like that art. Oh, wait, is this the... Oh, is this the Evil Queen of the set? Hell yeah, alright. A human warlock, 2/4, mythic, legendary creature. Full art. Gotta love that. Each creature you control that's enchanted by an aura you control can't attack you or planeswalkers you control. At the beginning of your end step, each opponent loses X life and you gain X life, where X is the number of auras you control. Interesting. I might build around this. Next up, Discerning Financer. 2 and a white. Creature, human noble. Alright, it's an uncommon. At the beginning of your upkeep, if an opponent controls more lands than you, create a treasure token. 2 and a white. Choose another player. That creature gains control of target treasure you control. You draw a card. Nice and simple. Next up, we have the Edgewall Inn. It enters the battlefield tapped and you choose a color. You can tap to gain 1 mana of the chosen color. You can tap 3 and it sacrifice the Edgewall Inn, return target card that has an adventure from your graveyard to your hand. Not bad, great for an adventure deck. Actually, good for an adventure deck. Terrible in almost any other deck, I'm going to be honest. Next up, Tanglespran Lookout. 2 and a green. It's a creature, Satyr. Uncommon. Whenever an aura enters the battlefield under your control, draw a card. It's a 2/3. The trolls have your scent, traveler. Hurry on, let me take care of them. He's a good friend. He probably thirsts for battle too. Next up, Feed the Cauldron. Destroy target creature with mana value of 3 or less. If it's your turn, create a food token. Kellen heard Agatha howl when he slammed into her, heard her scream as she fell into the cauldron, but couldn't afford to think about the implications just yet. Oh, Kellen. Good man. Feed her to the cauldron. Scream Puff! 4 colorless and a black. Creature, horror. It's a common. It's Death Touch. Whenever the Scream Puff deals combat damage to a player, create a food token. Next up, Monstrosity. 1 and a black. A creature, horror. Whenever Monstrosity dies, create a food token. 3/1. And if the sugary abominations of Sweet Tooth Village were ever under someone's control, that time is long past. I like that. Okay. Rat Out. A black. Up to 1 target creature gets -1/-1 until end of turn. You create a 1/1 black rat creature with this creature can't block. Hold this for me. Tartaxes, the Swarm Piper. I like that. Ooh, it's a nice looking swamp. I like the fairy lights sitting out there, burning away. Alright, next pack. I have to say, so far, this has been a very nice box. We got a full art Greater Oromancy. Or picture card of Greater Oromancy. And, okay. We got a Regathan Firecat. Didn't know that was on the list. To be honest, I think that might be a little bit of waste on the list. But 200 red, creature, elemental cat. It stalks the Regathan Highlands, leaving behind melted snow, scorched earth, and the charred corpses of would-be temple robbers. 4/1. Knight of the Doves is our foil. Whenever an enchantment you control is put into the graveyard from the battlefield, create a 1/1 white bard creature token with flying. 2/1, 200 white, and it is a 1/3. Next up, we have Impact Tremors. 1 in a red, enchantment. Whenever a creature you control enters the battlefield under your control, Impact Tremors deals 1 damage to each opponent. With tears in his smoke-scorched eyes, he watched the living flames consume the only home he'd ever known. The Apprentice's Folly. I like it. Oh. Moonshaker Cavalry. Flying. When Moonshaker Cavalry enters the battlefield, creature tokens you control gain flying and get +X until end of turn, where X is the number of creatures you control. That can hurt someone. Gods, that's a spirit too. It wants to be thrown into a spirit deck. That's monstrous. Okay, next up. We have the Fairy Dream Thief. 1 black Fairy Warlock for uncommon. Flying. When the Fairy Dream Thief enters the battlefield, surveil 1. 200 black. Exile the Dream Thief from your graveyard. You draw a card, and you lose 1 life. Not Phyrexian Arena for a turn. I like it. Next up, we have Never Stalked by Nightmares. Menace. Oh, she's a human. She is 2 colorless, a white and a black. She's a human noble. She has Menace. When she enters the battlefield, return target creature or enchantment card from your graveyard to your hand. Whenever an enchantment you control is put into the graveyard from the battlefield, put a +1/+1 on her, and then scry. Could be quite useful with Areti of the Charmed Apple. And we got Areti's Tempting Apple. When it enters the battlefield, gain control of target creature until end of turn. Untap that creature, it gains haste until end of turn. 2 tap, sacrifice the Tempting Apple. You gain 3 life. 2 tap, sacrifice the Tempting Apple. Target opponent loses 3 life. It is 4 generic mana. We'll go with the owner of the apple. Next, we have the Graceful Takedown. 1 in a green. Sorcery. Any number of target enchanted creatures you control and up to 1 other target creature you control, each deal damage equal to their power to target creature you don't control. That's a gang beatdown. That's hilarious. The Fawns of the Tangle Span are adept at using the precarious environment against larger opponents. Okay, bullies. I love it. Shrouded Shepherd, a white and a colorless. When the Shrouded Shepherd enters the battlefield, target creature you control get +2/+2 until end of turn. Cleave Shadows, sorcery adventure. Creatures your opponent control will get -1/-1 until end of turn. I like that one. Again. Voracious Vermin. 2 in a black. When it's a rat. Common. When the Voracious Vermin enters the battlefield, create a 1/1 black rat creature token with this creature can't block.
Hey, Ryan.
Yeah.
When you take a shower, you gotta make sure the shower curtain's all the way in. That rug is soaked.
Fuck. Okay.
Yeah, you gotta pay attention to that, okay?
Alright, we'll do. Whenever another creature you control dies, put a +1/+1 on the voracious vermin. Lord Skitter promised the starving rats of Edgewall that they would never go hungry again. Lord Skitter. Next up we have the Edgewall pack. 3 and a red. Dog. Menace. When Edgewall pack enters the battlefield, create a 1/1 black rat creature token with this creature can't block. The mayor sent hounds out to root out Lord Skitter, but their loyalty was easily bought with a handful of bones. The dogs turned on him. That's funny. The rat catcher trainee. It's a human peasant, a red and 1. Pest problem. 2 and a red instant. Adventure. Create 2 1/1 rat creature tokens with this creature can't block. The peasant is, as long as it's your turn, rat catcher trainee has first strike for 2/1. Where do they keep coming from, she asks. And then a nice foiled forest. Our rollout is Rowan's Grim Search. We have a 2/2 white knight with vigilance as our token. Our foil is Water Wings. We have already read this, so we will pass it. Next, Intruder's Alarm. 2 and a blue. Creatures don't untap during their controller's untap steps. Whenever a creature enters the battlefield, untap all creatures. I kind of like that. That's funny. Oh, Mythic. Talion, the Kindly Lord. Very noble. 2 a blue and a black. When it enters the battlefield, choose a number between 1 and 10. Whenever an opponent casts a spell with mana value, power or toughness equal to the chosen number, that player loses 2 life and you draw a card. That's a funny one. I like that. Alright. Experimental Confectioner. 2 and a black. When it enters the battlefield, create a 2 food token. Whenever you sacrifice a food, create a 1/1 black rat creature with this creature can't block. That's kind of funny. I like that. Stroke of Midnight. Destroy target non-land permanent. Its controller creates a 1/1 white human. 2 and a white. The assembled partygoers fell silent instead, as the helmet came to a clattering stop. The only sound was Ash's distant footsteps. Next, we have Ash, the Party Crasher. A human peasant, a red and a white. Haste. When Ash, the Party Crasher, attacks, if 2 or more non-land permanents... Oh, celebrate, okay. Then you put a +1/+1 on Ash. Get up and dance, let your feet thunder like forge hammers. 2/2. Love it. Next up, we have Belligerent of the Ball. It's an Ogre Warrior, drops for 2 and red. Celebration at the beginning of combat at your turn. If 2 or more non-land permanents enter the battlefield, target creature you control gets +1/+0 and menace. It is a 3/3. Next up, we have Charmed Clothier. It's a fairy advisor, 4 and a white. Oh, yes, 4 and a white. Flying. When it enters the battlefield, create a Royal Roll. It's a token attached to target creature you control. Royal Roll. Enchanted creature gets +1/+1. Has ward 1. Not bad. Titanic Growth. 1 in green. Target creature gets +4/+4 till end of turn. Looks like you need a bigger net, Mr. Fey Catcher. I like that. Spell Stutter. Counter. Target spell unless its creature pays 2. Plus an additional 1 for each fairy you control. You are but learning to walk in a world where I fly, mortal. As it blows away the enemy. And then Obiera's Attendants. 4 in a blue. Flying 3/4. Or Desperate Parry. Target creature gets -4, -go until end of turn. 1 in a blue, instant. Yeah, okay. Obiera's devoted servants shrieked as their sleeping mistress slashed at them unseeing. Interesting. I'm very curious about the lore of what was happening in this world at the time. Then a foiled mountain. Of the apple. Nightmare creature token. I like that. Oh, it's a 1/1 at the beginning of combat of your turn. If a card was put into exile this turn, put a +1/+1 counter on this creature. Alright, first starting off, we have the Conceited Witch. It's a 2 and a black. Menace 2/3. Or, for the price of beauty, you create a wicked roll. Target textual creature you control. I can't remember what a wicked roll does. That is our foil. Next up, we have a Raid Bombardment. Whenever a creature you control power 2 or less attacks, Raid Bombardment deals 1 damage to the target player or planeswalker that creature is attacking. Oh. Oh, okay. Next up, Questing Druid. Without the cool art. We've already read that, so we're going to pass on. Already's Tempting Apple. Read it, so we're going to move on. Stone Splitter Bolt. X. Red. Bargain. Stone Splitter Bolt deals X damage to target creature or planeswalker. If this spell was bargained, it deals twice X damage to that permanent instead. I like that. I like that a lot, I'll be completely honest. Next up we have Twisted Fealty. We've already read that, so we're going to move on. Though it does tell us what the wicked roll is, so that is a +1/+1, and when it goes to the graveyard, or when the aura goes to the graveyard, deals 1 damage to each opponent. Next up, we have Soul Guide Lantern. 1 colorless, when it enters the battlefield, exile target card from a graveyard. Tap, sacrifice the Soul Lantern, and exile each opponent's graveyard. 1 tap, sacrifice the Soul Lantern, draw a card. Not bad, I do like the graveyard exile. The Unruly Catapult, 2 and a red. It's a artifact creature, construct, defender, tap, Unruly Catapult deals 1 damage to each opponent. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, untap the Unruly Catapult. An autonomous, self-loading catapult that had seemed like such a good idea. I agree, that does sound like such a good idea. Evolving Wilds. Tap, sack it, and look for a basic land of any kind, put it onto the battlefield tapped. Root Strider Fawn. 1 green, 1 colorless. It's a Satyr Scout. Tap to add green, or tap 1 in it, and you add 1 mana of any color. Human feet aren't inferior to hooves for climbing. I mean, isn't there plotting mistrustful personalities that help? Wait, Human feet aren't inferior to hooves for climbing. It's their plodding, mistrustful personalities that hold them back. Yeah, that's fair. Merfolk Coralsmith, 2 and a blue. 1 mana, Merfolk Coralsmith gets +1/-1 until end of turn. When it dies, scry 2. Wooden swords rot, steel axes rust, but coral only grows. I mean, I guess. Ooh, full art, foil. Mountain, love it. Alright. Next up, 9 Crescendo is our full art card. We get a 1/1 bird token. And we start this off with Commune with Nature. 1 green. And, this is our foil, I should say. Look at the top 5 cards of your library. Reveal a creature card from among them. Put it into your hand. The rest on the bottom of your library in any order. Creature search, I like that. Next up, we have the Polluted Bonds. 3 and 2 black. Whenever a land enters the battlefield under an opponent's control, that player loses 2 life and you gain 2 life. 'Twas the cruelest of ironies, the realm in desperate need of rest, gripped by endless sleep that offered no comfort, the wicked slumber. I love that. I actually love that. Alright, next up, we have the Werefox Bodyguard. 2 white and a colorless. Flash when it enters the battlefield. Exile up to 1 of the target non-fox creature until Werefox Bodyguard leaves the battlefield. You can sacrifice it, gain 2 life. It's a 2/2. I mean, decent, but it's limited to creatures. I can't say it's one of my favorite things, but I'm not going to say I hate it either. Next up, we have the Intrepid Truffle Snap. 1 and green. Boar. Whenever it attacks alone, create a food token. It's a 3/1. Go Hog Wild. Instant for a green and a 1. Off of adventure. Target creature gets a +2/+2 until end of turn. Go Hog Wild, friend. I like that. Next up, we have the Woodland Acolyte. 2 and a white. Human Cleric. When it enters the battlefield, draw a card. It's a 2/2 with a green Mend of the Wilds. Put target permanent card from your graveyard on top of your library. I like that. That's pretty decent. Royal Treatment. A green. Target creature you control gains hexproof until end of turn. Create a royal roll attached to that creature. Sir Armont the Redeemer. We've already read her, so we'll pass along, though she is a legendary creature. Next up, Candy Rabble. 1 and a black. Bargain. Target creature gets -3/-3 until end of turn. If the spell is bargained, it gets -5/-5 until end of turn. Don't you mean poisonous? There's no such thing as a venomous. Ah! He got bit by the apple. Alright. The Hamlet Glutton. 5 colorless, 2 green. Giant. This spell costs 2 less to cast if it's bargained. Okay, it does have bargain. Trample. When it enters the battlefield, you gain 3 life. So a 6/6 for 7 or 5 if you sacrifice something. I can't say I love it. I can say I hate it. Maybe not quite hate. Brave the Wilds. Bargain. If the spell is bargain, target land you control becomes a 3/3 elemental creature with haste. Still a land. Search your library for a basic land card, reveal it, put it in your hand, then shuffle. Tis a sorcery. Armory Mice. Really quickly. Brave the Wilds. I wish if it was instant speed, I think it would actually be kind of useful, because then you could make a 3/3 land blocker turn 1 and be able to block a haste creature fairly well. Armory Mice. A white, a colorless, celebration. Armory Mice gets +0/+2 if 2 or more non-land permanents sent to the battlefield under your control. Not bad. Not bad. Not great, not bad. Fallout Swamp. I like that. Ash Milk art card. One fairy token. Season of Growth. A green and a colorless enchantment. Whenever a creature enters the battlefield or you control, scry 1. Whenever you cast a spell that targets a creature you control, draw a card. I like that foiling. Alright, next up we have Phyrexian Unlife. 2 and a colorless. You don't lose the game for having 0 or less life. As long as you have 0 or less life, all damage is dealt to you as though its source had infect. While the realm's great minds quarreled over the strange eclipse, Lochthwain fell to the invaders. Last stand of the realm. I like that. Next up, we have Ground Seal, green and colorless. When it enters the battlefield, draw a card. Cards in graveyards can't be the targets of spells or abilities. They laid her to rest in the wilds, in a sacred place, beyond the reach of nightmares or machines. The nameless night of summer. I like that. That's really good. That's a good graveyard height piece. Next up, Feral Encounter. 2 green. Oh hey, it's a big old wolf attacking Ruby. Look at the top 5 cards of your library. You may exile a creature card from among them, put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. You may cast the exiled card this turn. At the beginning of your next combat phase, target creature you control deals damage equal to its power up to 1 target creature you don't control. I like that. I might put that in my werewolf deck. Howling Galefang. 2 green and 2. Vigilance has haste as long as you own a card in exile that has an adventure. I have to hand it to you, Yorvo. Since your pet showed up, not a single small folk has even made it to the door of my vault. I like that. I must say, this place has some actually really good, flavor to it. The Storm-Killed Vanguard. 4 colorless and 2 green for a giant warrior. Can't be blocked by creatures with power 2 or less. He rides like thunder and strikes like lightning. It's a 6/7 by the by. Bear down. 1 green and 1 colorless. You destroy target artifact or enchantment. I like that. That's not bad. Get to destroy an enchantment and then make a really big creature that just can't be blocked by choppers. Galvanic Giant. 3 and a blue. Whenever you cast a spell with mana value 5 or greater, tap target creature and opponent controls, and put a stun counter on it. That works for tap creatures. Storm Reading. 7. Instant adventure. Draw 4 cards, then discard 2 cards. Not bad. Next up, Protective Parents. 2 and a white. When they die, create a young hero role token attached up to 1 target creature you control. Protective Parents are 3/2. Next up, we have the Witch's Mark. 1 and a red. You may discard a card. If you do, draw 2 cards. Create a Wicked Role attached up to 1 target creature you control. Gets +1/+1, and when the aura hits the graveyard, each opponent loses 1 life. Finisher Witch. 2 into blue, bargain. When it enters the battlefield, if it was bargain, create a cursed roll. Attached to target creature an opponent controls. That creature has base power 1 and 1. Next up, we have the Sky Beast Tracker. 3 and a green. Giant Archer with reach. Whenever you cast a spell with mana value 5 or greater, create a food token. Cloud Eaters, Heaven Tillers, Beanstalk Worms. He favors prey worthy of a giant's appetite. I like that. And a blue mana. Alright everybody, we're in we have not finished off 10 packs, I don't think. Will the Scion of Peace is our first. Here's our art card. One from the list. We got a Dirtwater Wraith, 3 into black. It was a common. Swamp Walk, +1/+, use a black mana, gets +1/+0 until end of turn. The foul entities of the Usurk Swamp had never before dared to spread their influence to the very heart of Zolfia. Hearken, the Lore-Weaver. Oh, it must be from like an old Dominaria set then. Howling Gale Fang. We've already read this, so we'll pass it by, though that is our foil card for this one. Next up we have the Ley Line of Lightning. 2 and 2 red. If you start with the opening of your hand, you may begin the game with it on your battlefield. Whenever you cast a spell, you may pay 1. If you do, Ley Line of Lightning deals 1 damage to target player or planeswalker. I like that. I like that Ley Line. Next up, we have the Tangled Colony. 1 and a black. It is a rat creature with, it's a rare, it can't block, and when it dies, you create X/1/1 black rat creature tokens, where X is the amount of damage dealt to it this turn. That's a funny blocker. Crawling for scraps and driven mad by hunger, the individual rats became a writhing mass. Funny rats. Spellscorn Coven. 3 and a black. Flying. When Spellscorn Coven enters the battlefield, each opponent discards a card. Take it back! 2 and a blue. Instant. Adventure. Return target spell to its owner's hand. That's funny. Creature is a 2/3. Knight of Doves. We've already read this, so we'll pass it on. Cheeky House Mouse. A white. It is a 2/1. Get back here, vile rodent. I was almost done cursing that ring. Squeak by. A white mana. Sorcery Adventure. Target creature you control gets +1/+1 until end of turn. It can't be blocked by creatures with power 3 or greater this turn. I like that one. The Living Lectern. 1 and a blue. Artifact creature construct. 1. Sacrifice the Lectern, draw a card. Create a sorcerer roll on target creature. Target creature you control. Activate only as a sorcery. It's a 0/4. Oh, so you can't block, kill it, and do that? Rip. Alright. Unassuming Sage. A white and 1. When Unassuming Sage enters the battlefield, you may pay 2. If you do, create a sorcery roll token. Gets +1/+1 and scry 1. The Archmage Valia. Why yes, I do believe I've heard of her. Merry Bards. 2 in the red. When Merry Bards enters the battlefield, you may pay 1. If you do, create a young hero roll attached to target creature you control. Whenever this creature attacks, if its toughness is 3 or less, put a +1/+1 counter on it. Alright, next up we have Plunge into Winter. Tap up to 1 target creature, scry 1, draw a card. When Hilda froze, Lochlann to create her palace. Some merfolk dove deep enough underwater to escape the chill. Others weren't so lucky. Then we have the Crystal Grotto. When it enters the battlefield, scry 1, tap it to add colorless, 1 and it, 1 mana of any color. What little light filters down through the frost and fathoms that reflect into a million rainbow shards. And a mountain. Regular, no foiling, sadly. Alright, so we have made it through one stack of 10. And a little over. We're almost halfway through the first stack. Or the second stack. Another Agatha's Cauldron for... Actually, that's a Witch's Mark. Monster and Sorcerer roll tokens. And our foil is the Bellowing Bruiser. It's a 4 and a red with haste. It's a 4/4. Beat a path. Up to 2 target creatures can't block this turn. Not bad. Next up, Compulsion. Blue and 1, enchantment. 1 in the blue, discard a card, draw a card. 1 in the blue, sacrifice Compulsion, draw a card. Oh my love, would that you could understand. Adventure beckons, and I must take its hand. The Scholar and the Knight. I like that one again. And we have Hilda's Crown of Winter. Tap target creature. 3 mana. Legendary artifact. Rare. 1. Tap target creature. This ability costs 1 less to activate during your turn. 3 mana. Tap. Sacrifice Hilda's Crown of Winter. Draw a card for each tapped creature your opponents control. With each day she wore her crown, her icy kingdom spread, and her heart grew ever colder. Brutal. The Witch's Vanity. 1 and a black. Destroy target creature an opponent controls with mana value 2 or less. Create a food token. Create a Wicked Roll token attached to target creature you control. Enchantment Saga. Uncommon. Cursed Quarter. Cursed Quarter. 2 and 1 in white. Lifelike human noble. When it enters the battlefield, create a cursed roll token attached to it, so it becomes a 1/1. Once you take the roll off, it becomes a 3/3. It was the first and last time anyone attempted to levy a tax on the witches of Dunbarrow. I like that. 2 and 2 black. Taken by nightmares. Exile target creature if you control an enchantment. Scry 2. Dying in your sleep is never peaceful when Ashnyork is involved. Twisted Sewer Witch. 2 black, 3 colorless. When Twisted Sewer Witch enters the battlefield, create a 1/1 black rat creature token. Then for each rat you control, create a wicked token attached to that rat. They get +1/+1, and when the aura leaves, each opponent loses a life. I like that again. Red and 1 for the Tattered Ratter. Human peasant. Whenever a rat you control becomes blocked, it gets +2/+1 until end of turn. What's that? Snappers? Yes, you're right. It was very rude of the innkeeper to throw us out. What's that? Snappers? Yes, you're right. I like that rat. Tattered Ratter. Kellen's Light Blades. 1 and a white. Bargain. When it deals damage to target... Kellen's Light Blades deals 3 damage to target attacking or blocking creature. If the spell is bargain, destroy that creature instead. Not bad. Rhyme for Reindeer. 3 and a white. Whenever an enchantment enters the battlefield under your control, tap target creature and opponent controls. Yeah, yo. Tap tribal, tap tribal, tap tribal. Ice Out. 2 and a color, 2 blue and a colorless. Bargain. This spell costs 1 less. If it's bargained, counter target spell. Hilda built an icy sanctuary for all those who couldn't understand to go away. I like that. And a black full art. Alright, we are 2 from the halfway point. Our full art card is Rena, the Red Tooth Regent. Monster and Sorcerer rolls. And we start with the Court of Lothlorraine. Locthwain. When it enters the battlefield, you become the monarch. At the beginning of your upkeep, exile the top card of target opponent's library. You may play that card for as long as it remains exiled, and mana of any type can be spent to cast it. If you're the monarch until end of turn, you may cast a spell from among cards exiled with Court of Locthwain without paying its mana cost. Gee, that is beautiful. Okay, next up, Stab Wound. Enchanted creature. Enchanted creature gets -2/-2. At the beginning of the upkeep, it's enchanted creature's control. That player loses 2 life. What first seemed like a ridiculous and vaguely demeaning task quickly turned into a vicious struggle for survival. Welcome to Sweet Tooth. Lord Skitter's Blessing. Create a wicked roll attached to target creature you control. At the beginning of your draw step, if you control an enchanted creature, you lose 1 life and draw an additional card. Alright. Malevolent Witchkite. When it enters the battlefield, sacrifice any number of artifacts, enchantments, or tokens. Draw that many cards. Was there a fearsome witch around here, or was it a cruel dragon? Tales were confused. Oh no. Oswald, the adventurer. Torrent, the gutsy explorer. Tap, add a green and a blue. Spend this mana only to cast spells with mana value 5 or greater, or spells with X in their mana value. Blue, tap, draw a card, then discard a card. The streets of Ravnica were stifling. Elderaine is an endless adventure paved in gold. Tempest Heart. We've already read this once, but we'll pass it on by. Collector's Vault. 2 colorless. Artifact. 2, tap, draw a card, then discard a card. Create a treasure token. Oh, that's nice, actually. Return from the Wilds. 2 and a green. Choose 2. Search your library for a basic land card. Put it to battlefield tapped. Shuffle. Create a 1/1 white human creature token. Create a food token. Spider Food. 2 and a green. Sorcery. Destroy up to 1 target artifact, enchantment, or creature with flying. Create a food token. To the giant spiders of Dunbarrow, there's little difference between fly and fairy. Candy Trail. 1. It's a food clue artifact. When a candy trail enters the battlefield, scry 2. 2 tap, sacrifice back. Denelia, Edgewall Youth. Vanilla's Gatekeeper. 5 and a blue. It's a 6/5. And what makes you think Lady Grandscore wants to see you, little one? Entry denied. 1 and a blue. Return target creature you don't control with mana value 3 or less to its owner's hand. It's funny. Foil blue. I like that blue mana, actually. That's a really pretty one. Another Ashniok. Okay. Now, from the list we have Counterbalance. It is a 2 blue enchantment. Whenever an opponent plays a spell, you may reveal the top card of your library. If you do, counter that spell if it has the same CMC as the revealed card. That is cruelty. I love it. Okay. And then we have Rowan's Grim Search for a foil, a black and 2. Instant. If the spell was bargained, look at the top 4 cards of your library and then put up to 2 of them back to the top of your library in any order. And the rest to your graveyard. Draw 2 cards, lose 2 life. I kind of like that, actually. I kind of really like that. Spreading Seas. Enchant a land. And when it enters the battlefield, draw a card. Enchanted land is an island. Hasty efforts to defend Castle Vantress left it more moat than castle. Last stand of the realm. Alright, Spiteful Hexmage. A single black mana. When it enters the battlefield, create a cursed roll token on a target creature you control. You'll never amount to anything now, father. Father? 3/2 creature. Dutiful Griffin. 3 colorless and 2 white. It's a griffin. Flying. Sacrifice 2 enchantments. Pay 2 white, 2 colorless and a white. Return it from the graveyard to your hand. She stayed by her master's side, leaving only to hunt. She would guard him until he woke, however long it took. 4/4. Alright. Disdainful Stroke. 1 and a colorless. Or 1 blue and a colorless. Counter target spell with mana value 4 or greater. In retrospect, using storm magic against a storm giant was not the wisest strategy. No, I don't believe that would be. Next up, we have the Archive Dragon. 2 blue and 4 colorless. Flying, Ward 2. When it enters the battlefield, scry 2. Fascinating. It says here that dragons cannot read. As the dragon reads 9 books at once. 4/6. Though it's definitely more of a reader than a fighter. Up the Beanstalk, 1 green enchantment. When Up the Beanstalk enters the battlefield, and whenever you cast a spell with mana value 5 or greater, draw a card. It's not so bad, all you have to do is keep from looking down. Troyan to Kellen and Ruby. The Sweet Tooth Witch. 2 white and a black. Human Warlock. When she enters the battlefield, create a food token. 2 tap. Sacrifice as a food token. Target player loses 2 life. Try some pie. Your brother helped to make it, and he really poured his heart into it. Alright. Storm-Killed Prowler. 1 blue, 1 colorless. Whenever you cast a spell with mana value 5 or greater, put 2 1/1 counters on Storm-Killed Prowler. To the Giants, it was 1 little gem among thousands. But to kill me, it was a hole that would feed her family for years. Scarecrow Guide. 2 mana. Reach. 1. Add 1 mana of any color. Activate only once each turn. You're doing a splendid job, my noble stitched friend. Not a single bird has attacked us. Troyan. Beanstalk Worm. 4 and a green. Plant Worm. Reach. 5/4. When Benula's pets escaped Storm-Killed, villages fell and new Everstalks rise. Oh, villages fall and new Everstalks rise. Plant beans. A green and 1. You may play an additional hand this turn. Not bad. And white for that. So everybody, thank you for being here, thank you for... I'm just checking in, hoping that everybody is well. Want to wish you all the best. I'm going to say these pulls have been pretty decent so far. I'm very much enjoying them. That is a Ristic study of the full art sets. Start off with a fairly nice looking food token. And we move over to a class casket as our foil. We've already read that, so we'll pass it over. A copy enchantment is our next card. It's going to be 2 and a blue. You may have copy enchantment. Enter the battlefield as copy of any enchantment on the battlefield. I don't need anyone else, muttered Hilda. You don't need anyone else. Her reflection agreed. The Witch of Winter. Next up, we have the Virtue of Knowledge. 4 and a blue. If a permanent entering the battlefield causes a triggered ability of a permanent you control to trigger, that ability triggers an additional time. Vantress Visions. Copied target activated ability or triggered ability you control. You may choose new targets for the copy. Beautiful. Panharmonicon. Okay, Dream Spoilers. Fairy Warlock 3 and a black. Flying, whenever you cast a spell during your opponent's turn, up to 1 target creature your opponent controls gets -1/-1 until end of turn. The Wicked Slumber saved Elderaine from Phyrexia's grasp, but instead of fading when the invasion ended, it continued to spread. Greta, the Sweet-Tooth Scourge. 1 black, green. Legendary human warrior creature. Human warrior. When it enters the battlefield, create a food. Green, sack a food. Put a +1/+1 on target creature. Activate only as a sorcery. 1 and black. Sacrifice food. Draw a card. Lose 1 life. I like that. It's a good legendary creature. Gingerbread Hunter. 4 and a black. Whenever the Gingerbread Hunter enters the battlefield, create a food token. It's a 5/5. 2 and a black. Beauty Snack. Target creature gets -2/-2 until end of turn. Maybe that's how he catches the gingerbread man. They're all just beauty snacks to him. He just picks them up and snacks them. 3 bowls of porridge. 2 colorless to drop. 2 colorless then tap, and choose one that hasn't been chosen. Deals 2 damage to target creature, tap a target creature, or sacrifice it and you gain 3 life. Commune with Nature. We've already read that one, so I'm going to pass it over. Warehouse Tabby. Whenever an enchantment enters the battlefield under your graveyard, is put into the graveyard from the battlefield, create a 1/1 black rat. Warehouse Tabby gains Death Touch until end of turn when you pay 1 black and 1 colorless. Gnawing Crescendo. Creatures you control get +2/+0 until end of turn. Whenever a non-token creature who you control dies, create a 1/1 black rat creature token with this creature can't block. Totansa's songs had no lyrics, but the rats understood it nonetheless. You own this land, it said. You deserve to feast. Harried Spearguard. 1 red. Haste. When it dies, create a 1/1 red and black, or 1/1 black rat creature. Why are you vermin so daft? This is a warehouse that's full of bricks. Bricks! You can't eat bricks. And a black mana. No, they'll certainly try to eat bricks, the little ratlings. Full art is a Spiteful Hexmage. Start off with a Night token. Oh, curse! I love curses. Just a moment, I'll read it to you. by Shadow. Shadow is my cat, and he is an adorable, amazing boy. He has 3 legs. I would show you him, but my room is a complete devastation, so I will not be showing him to you. So then.
Oh, hello, Bobby. Hello, my friend. Yes, I love you, my boy.
Alright, Curse of the Werewolves. Create a monster roll. Roll token attached to target creature you control. When you do, that creature fights up to 1 target creature you don't control. Means it gets +1/+0 and trample. Jesus, that's rude. Okay, Curiosity. 1 blue, enchanted creature. Whenever enchanted creature deals combat damage to an opponent, you may have a draw card. Or you may draw a card. Voltry gasped. The strange new coral was not coral at all, but a fallen dry walker. But how did it get to the bottom of Lake Larent? The merfolk who walked. Interesting. Elvish Archivist. 1 and a green. Whenever 1 or more artifacts enters the battlefield under your control, put 2+1/+1 counters on the Archivist. This ability only happens once each turn. Whenever 1 or more enchantments enters the battlefield under your control, draw a card. This ability only triggers once each turn. It's a 0/1. Kind of mid. Not my cup of tea. Storyteller Pixie. Fairy Wizard. Flying. Whenever you cast an adventure card, draw a spell. Adventure spell, draw a card. After the royal nanny had finished his dull, droning recital of the prince and princess's bedtime story, the secret friend emerged and the real story began. I like that. Food coma. 3 and a white. When food coma enters the battlefield, exile target creature and opponent controls until food coma leaves the battlefield. Create a food token. Busy as a bubble sheep. Fairy expression meaning asleep. I like that. Back for seconds. It's 2 and a black. Bargain. Return up to 2 target creatures from your graveyard to your hand. If the spell is bargain, you may put up to 1 of those cards with mana value 4 or less onto the battlefield instead of to your hand. Again, really like that one. Oh, really, Shadow. Okay, bud. Come on, bud. Okay. Sorry, guys. I hope you are enjoying the video. Think back for seconds is one that I'm going to use. A Knight of Sweet's Revenge. 3 and a green, enchantment. When it enters the battlefield, create a food token. Foods you control have tap, add green. 5 and 2, sacrifice Knight of Sweet's Revenge. Creatures you control get +X/+X until end of turn, where X is the number of foods you control. Activate only as a sorcery. Okay. Next up, Tough Cookie. 1 and a green. Artifact creature, food golem. When Tough Cookie enters the battlefield, create a food token. 2 and a green. Target non-creature artifact you control becomes a 4/4 artifact until end of turn. 2 tap, sacrifice Tough Cookie, you gain 3 life. It's a 2/2. Hopeful Vigil. Enchantment, 1 and a white enchantment. When it enters the battlefield, create a 2/2 white knight with vigilance. When Hopeful Vigil is put to the graveyard, scry 2. 2 and a white, sacrifice the Hopeful Vigil. Hopeless Nightmare. 1 black enchantment. When it enters the battlefield, each opponent discards 2 life. When it goes to the graveyard, discard 2. 2 and a black, sacrifice Hopeless Nightmare. Wicked Visitor, 1 and a black, it's a nightmare. Whenever an enchantment you control is put to the graveyard from the battlefield, each opponent loses 1 life. Amalgamations of many childhood nightmares stalked the realm of dreams, feeding on the collective terror of all those trapped in the wicked slumber. I like that one. And then we got basic planes. Alright, 13 left, so lucky number 13 getting cracked right here. Start off with full art of Hilda's Ice Crown. Have a fantastic looking beast token. Start this off with a foiled Ruby, the Daring Tracker. She is a red-green with haste. Whenever Ruby, the Daring Tracker, attacks, while you control a creature with power 4 or greater, she gets +2/+2. You can tap her for a red or a green. Neither the sharpest thorns nor the foulest beast would stop her from finding her brother. Glorious. Hatching Plan, we've already read this, so we're just going to put it off to the side. Farsight Ritual, 2 blue, 2 colorless. Bargain, look at the top 4 cards of your library. If the spell is Bargain, look at the top 8 instead. Put 2 of them into your hand, the rest to the bottom of your library in any order. Not bad, not glorious, not anything. I might run it if I have a Hilda deck. Threadbind Click. 3 colorless and a blue. Fairies, they're flying. 3/3. 2 and a white. Destroy target tapped creature. Rip the seams. Giggles of Delight, maybe the last thing you hear. Decent in Hilda deck. Piglock Prankster, 1 and a blue. Flying Vigilance, 1/3. You can't cage Mischief. Free the Fae, 1 and a blue. Mill 4 cards, then put an instant sorcery or Fae from among the milled cards into your hand. Not terrible, not wonderful either. The Chancellor Tales. Flying, whenever you cast an adventure spell, you may copy it and choose new targets for the copy. 3 and a blue, it's a 2/3. So the knight stabbed the troll, and the troll threw the knight off the bridge, and they both forgot about the sword. Alright. Frolicking Familiar. 2 and a white, or 2 and a blue. Otter Wizard. Flying, whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, Frolicking Familiar gets +1/+1 until end of turn. Blow Off Steam. Instant. Adventure. Blow Off Steam deals 1 damage to any target. For a red. Gingerbrute. 1 mana. Artifact Golem. Food Golem. Haste. Gingerbrute can't be blocked with this turn except by creatures with haste. 2. Tap. Sacrifice Gingerbrute. Gingerbrute, you gain 3 life. Sometimes fast as you can isn't quite fast enough. Bellowing Bruiser, we've read this, so we'll pass it. Vantress Transmuter, I believe we've read this, but I will read it again. 3 and a blue. Human Wizard, my orders were to capture you alive. They didn't specify in what form. Croaking Curse, 1 and a blue. Tap target creature, create a cursed roll token attached to it. Oh, okay. Aquatic Alchemist, we have read this, so we'll pass it. And Plains. Balloona Grand Skull is our full art. We got a food token. And our foil is going to be 1 Stormkeld Vanguard. We have already read this, so we'll pass it over. We got a Sneak Attack for red mana. You may put a creature card from your hand onto the battlefield. That creature gains haste. Sacrifice that creature at the beginning of the next end step. 3 and a red. Carlug carefully prepared to try the new ambush strategy he'd heard about. Ambush. The Ogre's Revenge. That's funny. The Iron Crag. Tap. 2. Legendary artifact. Tap to add mana. Whenever a legendary creature enters the battlefield under your control, if you have the Iron Crag, become a legendary equipment artifact named Everflame Hero's Legacy. If you do, it gains equip 3 and equipped creature gets +3/+3 and loses all other abilities. I mean, decent. Not great, but not bad. Splashy Spellcaster, 3 and a blue. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, create a sorcerer roll target attached up to one target creature you control. It's a 2/4. I'm just gonna say mid. Gadwick's First Duel, a blue and 1. Create a cursed roll token attached to target up to one target creature. Scry 2, and then when you cast your next instant or sorcery spell with mana value 3 or less this turn, copy that spell, and you may choose new targets for the copy. I like that a lot. Welcome to Sweet Tooth. Create a 1/1 white human creature token. Create a food token. Put X 1/1 counters on target creature you control, where X is 1 plus the number of food tokens. I like that. Welcome to Sweet Tooth. Territorial Witchstalker. 1 and a green. Defender. At the beginning of combat on your turn, if you control a creature with power 4 or greater, Territorial gets +1/+0. This until end of turn can attack this turn, so it didn't have Defender. Huh, cool. Gonna say, not something I'd run, but cool, I guess. Leaping Ambush. A green target creature gets +1/+3 and gains reach until end of turn. Untap it. Witchstalkers have extremely powerful legs. All the better to reach you with. Yup. Hollow Scavenger. 2 and a green. 1 sacrifice of food. Hollow Scavenger gets +2/+2 until end of turn. Activate only once a turn. Bakery Raid for 1 green. Sorcery Adventure. You create a food token. Red Tooth Genealogist. When it enters the battlefield, create a royal roll token, another creature you control. It is 2 and a green. Some family trees are thornier than others. Bestial Bloodline, 1 and a green. Enchanted creature gets +2/+2. 4 and a green. Return Bestial Bloodline from your graveyard to your hand. There's a fierce joy in losing yourself to savagery, and a bitter pain in regaining your senses afterward. You could never understand. There is a joy to it that is hard to understand. Blue mana. I gotta say, that's a lot easier to see when it's not foiled. Alright. Rowan's Grim Search again. Okay, from the list, we got a Crystalline Crawler. Crystalline Crawler is an artifact structure with Converge. It enters the battlefield with +1/+1 for each color of mana spent to cast it. I can remove a +1/+1 counter to add 1 mana of any color to my color pool, and I can tap it for +1/+1 counter on it. Interesting. Diminisher Witch is our foil. We're going to pass that over. We got a Grasp of Fate, which we will also pass over as we have seen it. We got a Raging Battle Mouse. It's a red and 1. It is a mouse. Second spell you cast each turn costs 1 less to cast. 1 less to cast. It's a Celebrant. And it is a target creature gets +1/+1 until end of turn on its Celebrant. Alright, We got an Ego Drain. Target opponent reveals their hand. Choose a non-land card from that player, discards it. If you don't control a fairy, exile a card from your hand. You've wasted your life. Let's see if I can do anything better with it. Obira, the Dreaming Duelist. Flash flying whenever another fairy ETBs. Under your control, each opponent loses a life. Obira sleepwalks through the wilds, hunting her worthy opponents. I like that one. Fairy Fencing. Target creature gets -X till end of turn. That creature gets an additional -3 until end of turn if you control a fairy spell as you cast this. Even in the grip of Wicked Slumber, the High Fae Princess Obira is a blade master of unrivaled skill. Hearth Elemental, 5 and a red. This spell costs X less to cast, where X is the number of cards in your graveyard that are instant cards, sorcery cards, and or have adventures. Stroke Genius, 1 and a red. Discard your hand, then draw 2 cards. Not terrible, actually kind of decent. Okay, next up we have Johan, the Apprentice Sorcerer. You may look at it's a human wizard, 2/5 on the life, 2 a red and a blue. You may look at the top card of your library at any time. Once each turn you may cast an instant or sorcery from the top of your library. Still pay its cost, timing rules still apply. Okay, first I'll comp the elementals, then I'll put out the fire, then I'll unflood the basement, then I'll do the chores myself. Yeah, that sounds like the right way to have done it. Besotted Knight, 3 and a white. Human Knight, Betrothed, Human Knight, 3/3. You are no monster to me, my love. Betrothed Beast. Create a roll token attached to target creature you control. Alright. Ferocious Werewolf, Elf Fox Warrior, 3 and a green. Trample, 4/3. Each night, the elves of Redtooth Keep transform into feral, monstrous beasts. And then 2 and 1 and a green for guard chain to create a monster roll token and attach to target creature you control. I like that one. The Curse of the Werefox, we've read that, so we'll pass it. A mountain, full art, which is nice. And we're down to the last 10. Neva Stalked by Nightmares is our full art. Nightmare for our token. Splashy Spellcaster for our foil. Look over it. Dragon's Mantle. Enchanted creature. When Dragon's Mantle enters the battlefield, draw a card. Enchanted creature has red. This creature gets +1/+0 until end of turn. Utopia Sprawl. Utopia Sprawl enters the battlefield. Choose a color when it enters. Whenever Enchanted Forest is tapped for mana, its controller adds 1 additional mana of any chosen color. Or of the chosen color. Okay. Song of Totentans. Create X 1/1 black creature tokens. And so with each creature can't block creatures you control gain haste until end of folk. Townsfolk tapped their feet and hummed along, unwittingly amplifying the tune that would summon their doom. I like that. I like that. Ashniox Reaper. Whenever an enchantment enters you control enters the graveyard from the battlefield, draw a card. Neva's dreams were haunted by memories of the invasion. Oil black tendrils grasping at her through the mist. Or was this something new? Totentans, the Swarm Piper. Human Warlock Bard, a red and a black. Whenever Totentans or another non-token creature you control dies, create a 1/1 black. rat. With this creature can't block. 1 and a black. Target attacking rat you control gains death touch till end of turn. Among the rats he found the acceptance the human world never gave him. Lord Skitter's Butcher. 2 and a black rat peasant. Lord Skitter's Butcher enters. Choose 1. Create a 1/1 black rat. You may sacrifice another creature. If you do, scry 2. Draw a card. Creatures you control gain menace. Callous Cell Sword. Burn together or burn together 1 red. Target creature you control deals damage equal to its power to any other target, then sacrifice it. Sorcery Adventure. 1 and a black for the human soldier. Callous Sellsword enters the battlefield with a +1/+1 on it for each creature that died under your control. Kindled Heroism. A red. Target creature gets +1/+0, gains first strike until end of turn, and you scry 1. Even in the grip of Hilda's unnatural cold, something in Callan felt bright as spring, something that poured into the empty hilts. He'd been given by Talion and formed thorn-sharp blades of light. Frost Ridge Guard. 1 and a white, elemental soldier. 2 and a white, tap target creature. The sentry watched impassively, its spear unmoving. 1 by 1, the would-be adventurers stumbled and fell frostbitten to the ground. 2/2. Freeze in place. Oh hey, there's those people that got frozen. Tap target creature and opponent controls and put 3 stun counters on it. Scry 2. I'm getting a sense we shouldn't expect a warm welcome. Callan. And the plains. Nine. As foretold, purple luck card. A minigame token. Ice out foil, will pass it over. Nature's Will, 2 green, 2 colorless, whenever 1 or more creatures you control it. Whenever 1 or more creatures you control deal combat damage to a player, tap all lands that player controls and untap on all lands you control. Okay, Nature's Will. Restless Cottage, enters the battlefield tapped, gain black or green, 2 black green, becomes a 4/4 black green horror creature until end of turn, still a land. Create a food token, exile up to 1 target in the graveyard when it attacks. I like that as well. Charging Hooligan, 3 in a red, human peasant. Charging Hooligan attacks, gets +1/+0 until end of turn for each attacking creature. If a rat is attacking, it gains trample until end of turn. Soon the rats are gonna run this town, so I'm gonna run with them. Smart lad. Rowdy Research, 6 and a blue. This spell costs 1 less for each creature that attacked this turn. Draw 3 cards. Stolen treasures can be reclaimed, but stolen knowledge is yours forever. Alayla. That's true. Corvold and the Noble Thief. Create a treasure token. Create a treasure token. Exile the top 3 cards of your target opponent's library. You may play those cards this turn. Steal their stuff. And that's Corvold and the Noble Thief. 3 in a red. Agatha's Champion. 4 in a green. Human Knight. Bargain. Trample. When it enters the battlefield, if it was Bargain, it fights up to 1 target creature you don't control. It's a 4/4. Picnic Ruiner. Goblin Rogue. Stolen Goodies. Stolen Goodies. Sorcery. Adventure. 3 in a green. Distribute 3 1/1 counters among any number of target creatures you control. 1 in a red. Whenever Picnic Ruiner attacks while you control a creature with 4 or greater, Against double strike until end of turn. Whew. Sorry for the yawning, guys. I'm just talking a lot here. Shatter the Oath. 3 and 2 black. Destroy target creature or enchantment. Create a wicked roll. Target attached up to 1 target creature you control. +1/+1. When the aura goes to the graveyard, each opponent loses a life. Aretti's Whisper. Target opponent discards 2 cards. Create a wicked roll attached up to 1 target creature you control. 3 and a black. Prophetic Prism. 2 colorless. When it enters the battlefield, draw a card. 1 and tap. Add 1 mana of any color. Swamp. Tagwell, Duke of Splendor. Purple art. A rat token. Rowdy Research. Just read it, so I'll put that to the side. Knightly Valor. Enchant creature. Whenever when Knightly Valor enters the battlefield, create a 2/2 knight with vigilance. Enchanted creature gets +2/+2 in vigilance. Meh. Spellbook Vendor, 1 and a white. Vigilance at the beginning of combat on your turn. You may pay 1 if you do. Create a sorcerer roll token attached to target creature you control. It's a 2/2. Court of Vantras. 2 blue, 2 colorless. When it enters the battlefield, you become the monarch. At the beginning of your upkeep, choose up to 1 other target enchantment or artifact. If you are the monarch, you may create a token that's a copy. If you're not the monarch, you may have Court of Vantras become a copy, except it has this ability. That's pretty good. That's really, really good. Another ruby. Put her to the side. Witchstalker Frenzy. 3 and a red. This spell costs 1 less to cast for each creature that attacked this turn. Witchstalker Frenzy deals 5 damage to target creature. The Witchstalkers circled the armored figure. Drawn to the corrupting stink of dark magic, Kellen and Ruby fled the sound of savage howls and snapping jaws. Looks like they got it at the right time. 2-headed hunter. 4 and a red. Giant menace 5/4. I point you club. Twice to rage. 1 and a red. Instant adventure. Target creature gains double strike till end of turn. Not bad. Not dead after all. A red. Until end of turn, target creature you control gains when this creature dies. Return it to the battlefield tapped under its own control. Create a wicked roll token attached to it. Oh, good. Bring something back before. Okay. Stairmaster Sprite. 1 blue. Flying. When Stairmaster Sprite enters the battlefield, you may pay 2. When you do, tap target creature and opponent controls, put a stun counter on it. Not bad. Into the Fey Court. 3 and 2 blue. Draw 3 cards. Create a 1/1 blue fairy creature token with flying, and this creature can only block creatures with flying. Kellen stepped from his village into a strange world where trees bore jeweled fruit. A regal, inhuman voice rang to his ears. Tell me, brave hero, are you true of heart? Stingblade Assassin. 3 and a black. Flash, flying. When it enters the battlefield, destroy target creature and opponent controls that will stealth damage this turn. And a forest. Seven. Sleep Cursed Fairy. Giant Killer from Throne of Elderaine. 1 white. 1 and a white. Tap target creature. 1/2. What size advantage? They never even see me coming. Chop down. 2 and a white. Destroy target creature with power 4 or greater. Voracious Vermin is our foil, and Garruk's Uprising is our first enchantment. 2 and a green. When it enters the battlefield, if you control a creature with power 4 or greater, draw a card. Creatures you control have trample, and whenever a creature with power 4 or greater enters the battlefield under your control, draw a card. I like that. I like that a lot. Apprentice's Folly. Choose target non-token creature you control that doesn't have the same name as token you control. Create a token that's a copy of it, except it isn't legendary. It's a reflection in addition to its other types, and it has haste. Do that twice, and then you sacrifice all reflections you control. Not terrible, not wonderful. Boundary Lands Ranger. 1. A red human ranger. At the beginning of combat on your turn, if you have a creature with power 4 or greater, you may discard a card. If you do, draw a card. You only find out who was hunting who when one of you is dead. Monstrous Rage. 1 red. Target creature gets +2/+0 and create a monstrous roll token attached to it, so it gets +3/+1, has trample. My, what big paws. Thomas the Woodsman. Last words. Embereth Veteran. 1 red. Creature Human Knight. 1. Sacrifice the veteran. Create a young hero roll attached to another target creature. Embereth is a 2/1. Conceited Witch. We've seen this, so we will pass it off. Next up, we have Torch the Tower. 1 red. Instant. Bargain. Torch the Tower deals 2 damage to target creature or planeswalker. If the spell was bargained, it instead deals 3 damage to that permanent, and you scry 1. If a permanent dealt damage by the Torch Tower would die this turn, exile it instead. Return Triumphant. 1 and a white. Return target creature card with mana value 3 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield. Create a young hero roll attached to it. Mid. Mocking Sprite. 2 and a blue. Flying instant sorcery. Spells cost 1 less to cast. Look at me, everyone. I am a high fae. Watch me do important high fae things. Alright, Misleading Modes. 3 and a blue. Instant. Target creature's owner puts it on the top or bottom of their library. Yarvis was almost certain he'd seen the same tree an hour ago. Then again, didn't all trees look alike? He shelved his doubts and followed the friendly twinkling motes deeper into the forest. The Fool. Ooh. Full art waste not. Nightmare of the Token. Foiled. Become Brutes. 1 and a red. 1 or 2 target creatures each gain haste until end of turn. For each of those creatures, create a monster token attached to it. I like that. Leyline of the Void. 2 and 2 black. When it enters, if it's in your opening hand, you may begin with it on the battlefield. If a card would be put into an opponent's graveyard from anywhere, exile it instead. Malevolent lights pulsed around her, whispering of riches in the dark. Still she walked on. The Nameless Night of Summer. Dark Tutelage. 2 and a black. At the beginning of your upkeep, reveal the top card of your library. Put that card into your hand. You lose life equal to its mana value. Ours is a path of the outcast, of pain given and pain received, but for the strong it is a path that leads to power untethered from fey riddles, the witch's way. Scalding Viper. 1 and a red. Elemental Snake. Whenever an opponent casts a spell with mana value 3 or less, Scalding Viper deals 1 damage to that player. Steam Clean. 1 and a red. Return target non-land permanent to its owner's hand. I like that one too. Red Tooth Vanguard. one in a green. Oh hey, it's the trample guy we saw earlier. I like him. Succumb to the cold. 2 in a blue. Tap 1 or 2 target creatures an opponent controls and put a stun counter on them. I've never known cold like it. It burned like fire and bit like an adder's fangs. Call me a coward if you wish, but I won't go back there. Sir Lendel, Knight of Vantris. Ice Wrought Sentry. We've seen this, we will pass. Rowan's Grim Search. We've seen this, and will pass. Flick a coin. 2 in a red. Flick a coin deals 1 damage to any target. You create a treasure token. Draw a card. That does so much good, I love that. From here, hit the antique gong, ricochet off the suit of armor, and get Garund on the nose. Is that all? Coin. Cut in. 3 in red. Cut in deals 4 damage to target creature, and create a young hero will attach to up to 1 target creature you control. Not bad. 2 in Veil Guide. 3 in a white. Fairy Scout. Flying. It gets +1/+0 and has lifelink as long as 2 or more non-land permanents enter the battlefield under your control this turn. 2/3. Weary traveler, follow me. The night is a cage, and my light is the key. Decent quote, decent quote. Unnatural growth. Linden, the Steadfast Queen, from Thrones of Elderaine. Legendary creature, human noble, 3 white, vigilance. Whenever a white creature you control attacks, you gain 1 life. 3/3. Until my last breath, I will defend the realm. I like that one. Kellen the Slate Blades, bargain, 1 in white. Deals 3 damage to target attacking or blocking creature. If this spell was bargain, destroy that creature instead. Kellen struck out Imperial Instinct, and his conjured blades cleaved through the icy guardian so that they were nothing but air. Griffin Airy, we've already seen this, so we'll pass it. Season of Growth, same thing. Sentinel of Lost Lore. When it enters the battlefield, choose 1 or more. Return target card you own in exile that has an adventure to your hand. Put target card you don't own in exile that has an adventure on the bottom of its owner's library. Exile target player's graveyard. It's alright, not something I would use specifically. Charade of Numbing Depths. We've seen this, so we'll pass it off. Solitary Sanctuary. Seen this, and we'll pass it off. Bitter Chill. It is the tap enchantment that enters the battlefield. Tap enchanted creature. It does not tap during its controller's untap step. And when it's put into the graveyard from the battlefield, you may pay 1. If you do, scry 1, draw a card. For 1 in a blue, it's an uncommon. Troublemaker Elfie. 1 in a green. Bargain. When it enters the battlefield, if it was bargain, exile target artifact or enchantment and opponent controls. Heavy is the head that wears the vase. Grabby Giant. 3/4. Reach. 2 in a red. Sacrifice an artifact or land to draw a card. 4/3. That's mine. 1 in a red. Create a treasure token. It's on an instant adventure. Redcap Thief. When it enters the battlefield, create a treasure token. 2 in a red. It's a 2/3. Shiny is best, then sharp. Sharp is good. Anything else, basically trash. Bespoke. Battle Garb. Equipped creature gets +2/+0. Celebration. It attaches for free, otherwise it attaches to. and 2 lands. Red and black. Five to go, I believe. Mosswood Dread Knight for our art card. Minigame. Royal Treatment Foil, we will move right through. Raise Bombardment, we will move right through. Elderaine the Pyrohammer. 2 red, 2 colorless. Whenever an instant or sorcery you control deals damage. Whenever an instant or sorcery spell you control that targets only a single creature deals damage to that creature, Elderaine deals that much damage to each opponent. The realm needs a ruler, not a boy playing king. I like that one too. Ogre Chitterlord. 2 red and 4 colorless. Menace. When it enters the battlefield or attacks, create 2/1/1 red or 2/1/1 black rat. Creature tokens with this creature can't block. Then if you control 5 or more rats, each rat you control gets +2/+0 until end of turn. Rats. Stone Splitter Bolt. Bargain. Deals X damage to target creature or planeswalker. If it was bargain, deals twice X damage to permanent instead. I like it. Twisted Fealty, we have seen this and we'll pass it. Witch's Vanity, we have seen it and we'll pass it. Tenacious Tome Seeker, we'll have seen it and we'll pass it. Grand of All Guest, gets +1/+1 trample as long as 2 or more non-land permanents have ATB'd. Under your control, it is a 2/2, 1 in a red. It takes a lot to pull a Master Blacksmith from their work, but Maurice couldn't pass up an invitation to a lavish Delver Hall feast. Okay, Skewer Slinger. Dwarf Knight, 1 in a red. Reach whenever it blocks or becomes blocked by a creature. It deals 1 damage to that creature. It is a 1/3. One way or another, dwarven meals end up in someone's stomach. That's funny. Stockpiling Celebrant. 2 and a white. It's a dwarf knight. When it enters the battlefield, you may return another target non-land permanent you control to its owner's hand. If you do, scry 2. What? I'm saving it for later. And a forest. I like how the dwarves seem to be like stowing up a bunch of food. Or using food to attack people. And they're all knights. I really like that. Omniscience. Food token. Polluted Bonds, we have seen it and we'll pass it. Leyline of Abundance. 2 and 2 green. If it's in your opening in your hand, you may start the game with it on the battlefield. Whenever you tap a creature for mana, and an additional green. 6 and 2, put a 1/1 on each creature you control. 1/1 counter on each creature you control. Restless Fortress, enters battlefield tapped, add white or black mana. 2 and white and black, it becomes a 1/4 white-black nightmare until end of turn, still a land. When it attacks, if any player loses 2 life, you gain 2 life. I like that. Cursed Quarter, we have already read that, so we'll pass it. The High Fey Negotiator, have read it and we'll pass it. Soul Red Lantern, read and passed. Spellscorn Coven, read and pass. Archon Glory, read and pass. Minecart Daredevil, red and pass. Verdant Outrider, 2 and green. Human Knight, 1 and green. A Verdant Outrider can't be blocked by creatures with power 2 or less. It is a 4/2. Some knights who survived the invasion have forsaken what remains of their courts. The newly formed Verdant Order has sworn to defend the last untouched parts of the wilds. Fell Horseman, red and pass. and a forest. So everybody, we're down to the last 3. Evolving Wilds for full art card. Rat. We got a Hatching Plans foil. We got a Dawn of Hope. 1 and a white. Whenever you gain life, you may pay 2. If you do, draw a card. 3 and a white. Create a 1/1 white soldier token with lifelink. She was the rising sun. Her courage banishing the terrors of the night. Legends of the Gilded Knights. Expel the Interlopers. 3 and 2 colorless, or 3 colorless and 2 white. Choose a number between 0 and 10. Destroy all creatures with power greater than or equal to the chosen numbers. When a red-capped grade threatened the Grand Ball at Delvenhall, Godric had no choice but to reveal his true identity and douse the invaders in dragonfire. Okay then. Sometimes that's just what you gotta do. Knight of the Doves, red and pass. Cheeky House Mouse, red and pass. Twisted Sewer Witch, red and pass. Quick Study is a red and pass. Break the Spell, red and pass. Joanne Stopgap, red and pass. Savior of the Sleeping, red and pass. Slumbering Keep Guard, red and pass. And a full art forest. Booty, 2 packs left, everybody. Heartflame Duelist is our full art. For Elemental, the Icy one. Slumbering Keep Guard for foil. Garruk's Uprising. Twinning Twins, 2 blue, 2 colorless. Fairy Wizard. Flying Vigilance Ward 1, 4/4. We spin and spin to keep us busy, but somehow you're the one who's dizzy. Swift Spiral. 1 and a white. Exile target non-token creature. Return it to the battlefield under its owner's control at the beginning of the next unstep. Not bad, actually. Kind of like that. Taken by Nightmares. Red and pass. Ashley Ox Reaper. Red and pass. Eerie Interference. Red and pass. Tainted Ratter. Red and pass. Totenans, the Swarm Piper, red and passed. Sugar Rush, red and passed. That was in our first pack. Moment of Valor, red and passed. Toadstool Admirer, red and passed, and a Mountain. Now, let's see what this final pack gives us, everybody. So we're going to start out with Fallout Curiosity card. That out of the way. Alright. Devouring Sugar Maw is our foil. 2 black, 2 colorless. Creature Horror, have for dinner. It's a Menace Trample. At the beginning of your upkeep, you may sacrifice an artifact, enchantment, or token. If you don't, tap Devouring Sugar Maw. Okay, it's a 6/6. Have for dinner. 1 white, 1 colorless. Instant adventure. Create a 1/1 white human food creature and a food token. I like that one. Spreading Seas. Mosswood Dread Knight. And another Mosswood Dread Knight in the better art. So it's 1 in green. Trample. When it dies, you may cast it from your graveyard as an adventure until the end of your next turn. Dread Whispers. 2, 1 black, 1 colorless. You draw a card and you lose 1 life. I like that a lot. I like that a lot. Lord Scooter's Butcher. Red and pass. Callous Sellsword, red and pass. Corvold, the Noble Thief, red and pass. Waterwing, red and pass. Evolving Wilds, red and pass. Rider Fawn, red and pass. And Merfolk, Coralsmith, red and pass. And a final full art mountain. Well, everybody, that has been my pulls from the set. I appreciate you all for joining me. Thank you much for coming in to see what this pack has been. I have to say, I really like what I've seen from this set. I think it's kind of cool all across the board, and there are a lot of deck ideas that I look forward to building within this set. Thank you very much. I hope you all enjoy the set as much as I plan on enjoying it, and I look forward to the next set that comes out. I plan on making this a more casual thing. I'd like to do this at every set release, so please let me know your thoughts, and thank you very much. Have a wonderful evening, everybody.